i chciałam rozpocząć panel dyskusyjny dotyczący improwizatorek.
Welcome everyone. My name is Joanna Jędrzejewska, and I would like to start a panel considering women improvisers.
Zostałyśmy zaproszone przez Sławka z Moniką Pasiecznik i chciałam najpierw po prostu się zastanowić, czego będzie dotyczyła ta cała dyskusja i dlaczego mamy tutaj w mózgu na 25-lecie mówić o kobietach.
I was invited with Monika Pasiecznik, and we would like to consider what is the reason why we are here and why this conversation is devoted to women improvisers.
Wydawałoby się, że świętowanie 25-lecia mózgu i taka dyskusja to sprowadzi się do tego, że będziemy opowiadać o tym, jak kobiety dają czadu, co mają do powiedzenia i co wnoszą tutaj w to środowisko. Natomiast wczorajszy koncert, na którym wiadomo, że zaproszonych artystów do świętowania 25-lecia jest 70, z czego kobiet jest 7. Dlatego prosta kalkulacja pokazuje, że jest 9 facetów na jedną kobietę. I teraz pytanie, gdzie jest ta moc kobiet?
It may appear that we're here to talk about women rock in any sense, but we can take a look at the list of the artists and see that there are 70 artists invited, and we have 7 women in 70 people. So it takes 9 men to, well, the odds are 9 to 1. So why is that? And we're trying to discover why it is like this. Why odds are like this.
Gdzie jest ta moc kobiet?
And where's the power of women in this improvised world?
Ja również jestem kobietą, która jest kompozytorką, improwizuje. I mam takie doświadczenie, że w zasadzie nie istnieje na jakimś rynku, na scenie, nie jestem obecna. W Wikipedii nie przeczytacie o mnie niczego, bo nie ma tam żadnej takiej informacji.
I'm also a musician, a composer, but I'm not on the musical market. You can't read about me on Wikipedia or something because there's none such thing as information about what I do.
W związku z czym pomyślałam, że to, co tak naprawdę powiemy z Moniką, to będzie mówienie o problemie nieobecności kobiet, improwizatorek, a nie o tym tak naprawdę, co robią te, które istnieją.
Therefore, we thought that we're going to talk about the absence of women, not the appearance.
Więc zaczęłyśmy się zastanawiać, jak to się dzieje. Znaczy ja się zaczęłam zastanawiać dużo wcześniej nad tym, bo Janicki zaprosił mnie do takiego projektu właśnie dotyczącego kobiet już rok temu i rok pracujemy razem, zastanawiając się właśnie nad tym, co się dzieje, dlaczego tak mało jest improwizatorek.
Sławek Janicki invited me, and we tried to consider why there's so they're not some why there's no why the women improvisers are so rare in this Polish community or this improvisers community, and we would like to talk about this.
I więc w tym moim badawczym jakimś procesie zaczęłam szukać odpowiedzi na to pytanie i po pierwsze zrozumiałam, że ten problem to nie jest problem jakości muzyki samej w sobie, czyli nie chodzi o to, że znaczy po prostu chciałabym odwrócić dyskusję od tematu muzyki jako absolutu, muzyki jako abstraktu ideowego, muzyki jako takiej, natomiast sprowadzić bardziej dyskusję w stronę muzyki jako praktyki społecznej i kulturowej, bo tam właśnie teoretycy i badacze tego zjawiska upatrują przyczyn właśnie takich proporcji.
And therefore, I try to reverse the approach of absolute abstract form of music and look towards social and cultural practices of improvised music.
Może oddam teraz mikrofon Monice i Monika przedstawi sytuację, jakie są badania, jakie istnieją na ten temat, jaką posiadam już w tej chwili wiedzę.
And therefore, I'll pass the mic to Monica and let her show that her knowledge about the subject.
Może za duże zadanie przede mną postawiłaś, żeby tak podsumować całą wiedzę i w ogóle przedstawić stan badań na temat muzyki kobiet. Jakby nie czuję się tutaj aż tak kompetentna, ale na parę rzeczy chciałabym zwrócić uwagę przy tej okazji.
I may not be the best mind to talk about it, and maybe you showed me as a too wise person to do that, but I'll try to shed the light on these things.
Faktycznie w ostatnich latach dość dużo mówi się o muzyce kobiet, a właściwie o nieobecności kobiet na różnych scenach awangardowych, nie tylko na scenie improwizowanej, ale na scenie muzyki komponowanej, powiedzmy na festiwalach w Polsce, ale też na świecie. Myślę, takim punktem zapalnym był projekt amerykańskiej kompozytorki Ashley Fury, który przedstawiła w Darmstadt. Po prostu przeanalizowała archiwum i pokazała, że tak naprawdę do lat bodaj 80. nie było tam praktycznie w ogóle kobiet jako artystek, ale też jako tutorek. One zaczęły się pojawiać dopiero gdzieś w ostatnich dekadach XX wieku.
In fact, in the world and in Poland also, women improvisers appeared about in the late 80s of the 20th century, but before.
It's not exactly what I said, but I just mentioned that.
But you mentioned the composer.
I mentioned the project which was done in Darmstadt a few years ago by American composer Ashley Fury, who did a research project on the archive of Darmstadt, Ferienkurse, and she showed that there were very, very few female composers there, and actually they started appearing like in 80s or 90s, so in the very last decades of 20th century. And that was actually the starting point for a big discussion, at least on this composed music scene, which I'm more perhaps involved in improvised music. But it was like a wave which started to go forward and come also to Poland, and we start to discussing also these things. Yeah, and I think it's a very bright movement right now. I wonder, for example, if you share my opinion, and on the improvisers scene, there is also this kind of discussion right now, or is it just for like composed music, or I don't know. this movement. So maybe this could be the question also for you. How do you see it, or is this any discourse on the improv music scene? So maybe I can pass the mic to you.
Should I say something first, or
Yeah, if you
okay. Hello. So my name is Audrey Chen. I'm American. I live in Berlin. This discussion is, well, I guess the first thing I noticed just coming into the discussion is how very few people here are here and how very few men, which is anyway telling of the interest in the subject. It's kind of glaring. Secondly, yes, there are this is a discussion. I mean, I don't consider myself part of an improviser scene. I don't consider myself an improviser, although I use improvisation as a process and technique. I don't believe in these categories, and I think that's actually where it starts. It's this sort of attitude of categorization, and it's sort of it's social and cultural in every country. I live in Germany. Poland, I don't know much about. I think it's more about every country. It's different. In the US, we have discourse about the inclusion of women, of course, but we also have discourse about the inclusion of race and gender, and I mean, not just gender, but like gender, LGBTQ, and these things don't even come up that much in discussions in other countries. So it really depends on the country. It depends on like how they've opened in the past, and I don't know. It's interesting for me to live in Europe because while I think in Berlin it's quite progressive, still the discussion of race is still quite behind. So they're starting to discuss women, but it's still mostly white women. And me not being a white woman, it's also part of this discussion comes into play. I tend to be a person that brings these things up in discussion quite often because I am a woman of color, but people don't usually bring these things up in discussion unless they're personally invested in it. So if it's a group of white men, they usually don't discuss feminist politics. If it's a group of white women, they don't usually discuss women of color. Do you know what I mean? So it's interesting. I think it's great that there's a kind of dialogue that's opening. I think it's interconnected between composed music, improvised music, whatever that is, because that also there's a lot of blurred edges. I mean, Biliana's worked a lot with composed music and improvised music, and in between all the lines, and I know that for sure. So it's a subject that's there. It's not just in it's not just in culture. It's not just in music. It's everywhere. So I wouldn't even say to have a discussion so specific as women in improvised music is quite limited. I mean, and it starts from the way that we raise our girls when they're babies. That's basically what it is, and it's deeply culturally influenced by our parents and how they lived their lives, our fathers, how our mothers lived. The information that you pass down to your children through behavior and model is also a huge effect on why there are less women in general. And these things are changing as we sort of kind of take ourselves into being more independent human beings and erase these categories, erase these lines, and erase these boxes. You know, people are gender fluid these days. People can be fluid in any way they want to be. And that has to be the attitude that kind of moves forward into the future. So I don't know if you want to say anything.
I could just
Yeah.
I could just add, I pretty much agree with that, and I guess we will all agree with that because because it's what it is. Because I think what we are talking about is facts. It's not opinion. It's just facts. So I don't have to talk about the facts, but what I wanted to say is that actually I find that there is more talking about this issue of women being a minority in all the aspects that Audrey mentioned. It's not only in improvised music, it's in general in any music ever. I did recently a project with women composers from the past, from like the starting 14th century or something, and they were actually non-existing. Like I didn't know one woman composer It's just weird, and they are there. So I actually figured out and found out that there is a lot going on from this time. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that there is actually more talking about it, and there is more openness about it. And I'm actually really happy that I'm living in a time when there is not a need to fight to even get to the talking, because that was the case. There's more possibilities to just do the talking, like now. You go somewhere and there is already something happening where we can talk about it and we can face this. And it's unfortunate that it's still, even in my own country, which is Bulgaria, it's still also what you said, the interest from the other side is almost none. Like, it's usually the people that are interested in the topic that are there talking about it, and there is maybe a few others, and that's about it. So this is sad. But it's a progressive act already compared to 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
I don't know, yeah, sure. Maybe, can you remind me of the question again? Can you say the question again? Yeah.
My question was very basic, namely if there is any feminist movement also on the improvisers music scene. So I said that there are maybe different scenes. I know that everything is blurring, but improvisers, so maybe we will further pose the question to MÓZG circle and organizers, what they think about. But I just wanted to know what is your experience on this subject?
Well, I come from Australia, but I've been living in Berlin for the last 4 years. But I come to Poland quite often because I play with the Krakow Improvisers Orchestra, which is led by a woman, a Polish woman. So there's not, like, the lady that runs it, Paulina Owczarek, she tries to actually have like half-half where it's possible. And even like last year we played at Adlobitum in Bydgoszcz, and we were asked that it was like ladies first, that was all the women, like we have like a Facebook group, and it's quite social, like way of people being invited to play for particular concerts, because it's like, hey guys, here's a concert, who wants to be playing? She's not just kind of picking like, this. It's like, we're part of this community with the orchestra, and this is nice. But for this particular concert, it's like, hey guys, like people, we're asked to have ladies first. But she even actually said to the organizer, she's like, well, I don't want to pick women just for the sake that they're women. You know, she's like, I have specific women that I want to work with, and I'm going to make an effort to make it like half-half as best as I can, even though she was asked to have like everybody was women. But she said, no, but for this orchestra, there's certain people that are integral to, you know, they're part of what this orchestra is, and they happen to be males. So I guess that's another part of it too. And I was talking with Biliana a little bit before, like, not just, you know, why do we have to say, oh, it's like a special night for women? It's like, why maybe think, like, there are more Polish women than like 2 that play improvised music, for example. I mean, just, it's true. I know that. Like, and they're not here. You know, just as an example. So I think, I guess, yeah. I mean, like what Audrey said too. Is just it's part of like a cultural thing, like as well. It's not just within music. It's in sport, in the workplace, at school, on the streets, at the club, wherever you're going. It's something that you have to also deal with, you know. And yeah, I think in Poland too, I'm a little bit aware that it's quite a bit of a difficult time, especially for women, maybe not going so much forward, and that there's some women also fighting for this, which maybe is, even though it's a difficult thing, maybe it's actually bringing the women here together to be like, hey, come on, let's stand together, and actually, like, this is ridiculous. Why we have to go backwards? We don't want to go backwards. We're here, and we've struggled, like you say, like the Polish women coming into the improvised scene, maybe more in the 80s and the 90s. So why, from this, they want to go back to the 70s or the 60s, like maybe so standing together more, and then try to think of ways to actually keep going forward, even though it's perhaps quite a difficult situation presently here, from the small amounts that I know. And yeah, so that's my experience of, like, from being within Poland, that there are women trying to do things, and and it's happening somehow, sometimes. But like, for example, in Australia, it's also a discussion within the improvised scene there too. And like, I'm specifically from Sydney, and there's a guy who he organises a lot of free improvised music events there. But he's often like thinking to make sure that there are many women involved with what he's organising. So there's women available. It's just like, have you made yourself aware of them? Are you inviting them? Are you thinking about that when you're doing your curation? Like, you know, you do your checklist. And like, I mean, even as a woman, if you're curating a festival or something, it's so easy just to be like, you know, you're thinking not of gender, not of this, you're thinking of just of people, but then why? It's also maybe good to check, like, why do I think that this person has some more status than this person? Am I thinking as a status, or am I thinking as music and creative freedom to create something worthwhile and beautiful that people want to be part of as a creative musical thing, as opposed to like, hey, this is this amazing program that I put together of people with, you know, special fancy names, and you're going to love it, even though maybe, I don't know, it's a nice list of names. I don't know, and maybe they happen to be more male names than female names, and I guess like what Audrey was saying, just it's like this cultural thing that's not just in music, and I think that's probably like the point that maybe has to be pushed on, or to be contemplated a bit more, that might help. Yeah, that's a little thing from me.
Yes, it's not just in music, it's in all the arts. And a lot of it is also political, and it's becoming politically more difficult in many countries now for people who are of color or who are of gender to find ways and means to express themselves and be either composers or actors or singers or whatever. Governments are making it more and more difficult to get money. I know that even in Canada, where my son lives, and where women are supposed to get an equal chance, they are not. And it's becoming even more difficult if they happen to be lesbian or transgender. So yes, it's got to be fought for, I think, this place that we need as women to express ourselves and have the chance to perform and do things. And discussion like this may help, I hope, also in Poland, because my experience coming here over the years is very much that there are only a few women who are doing performance, or that I have come across doing performance. There must be many, many more. And I hope that this club finds a way to include more women every year when they have their next festival.
I just wanted to ask you, what do you mean by feminism? Because the question was about feminist. And I can also add something, that feminism to me today is about radical self-care. And it's not about more women or less women, or 2 men and 1 woman, whatever. I'm also artist and sometimes working with sound. And this kind of discussion is like already far away to me. And as I'm also artist with a child or family, this is more interesting discussion to me, about the presence of artists with families in the art world, which is also connected to feminism and radical self-care.
Więc tak, na pewno będziemy chcieli zadać to pytanie organizatorom, dlaczego w programie 25 czy 25 urodzin mózgu jest, tak jak Sasza naliczyła, 1 kobieta na 10 mężczyzn, na 9, czyli tam te 10%. I też będę chciała zadać pytanie o to, jak w ogóle, jaką rolę w historii mózgu odegrały improwizatorki i czy one pojawiały się i na których etapach, czy na etapie założycielskim były panie, czy później się pojawiały i tak dalej, i tak dalej. Natomiast zaczęłam od takiego bardzo ogólnego pytania w ogóle o to, jakby o dyskusję, bo przytoczyłam ten przykład chociażby Darmstadtu, że jakby ta dyskusja gdzieś tam na scenie muzyki komponowanej rozgorzała, przeniosła się też do Polski, ona trwa już ileś lat i chciałam zapytać, jak to wygląda właśnie z punktu widzenia pań tutaj siedzących, więc to było jakby to pytanie. Czy one obserwują jakieś takie ruchy, dyskusje tego typu?
Ja nie obserwuję.
Aha,
ja
no właśnie, no to jest
widzę,
jakby odpowiedź. Tak.
Widzę dużo kobiet, które improwizują, grają i w muzyce, i ogólnie w sztuce nowoczesnej. Dużo się dzieje, ale być może jest też tak, że chodzi o polskie kobiety. Tak? Być może jest tak, że kobiety są też matkami i może czasami nie mają z kim zostawić dziecka w domu, a babcie się trochę wyemancypowały. No, może tak, jakoś.
Dobra, to ja wrócę teraz do tego, że właśnie nie będziemy mówić o tym, co się dzieje w muzyce improwizowanej kobiet, tylko właśnie dlaczego jest ich tak mało i próbując znaleźć odpowiedź na to pytanie, dochodzimy do rozmaitych takich badań i do terminu muzykologia feministyczna. Już termin feminizm się też pojawił i jakby zakreślimy też jakiś obraz tego, co ta muzykologia feministyczna działa.
Not only I would like to talk about the discussion of the feminist art and feminist improvisers, but also feminist musicology. The feminist musicology is a term I'm not familiar with, but we would like to discuss this as well, right?
Tak mi się wydaje, że nie mamy aż tak dużo czasu, żeby rozwlekać się i mówić bardzo dużo, więc chciałabym powiedzieć bardzo szybko, krótko, co się dzieje w tej muzykologii feministycznej.
I would like to briefly discuss what is appearing in this particular subject of feminist musicology.
Więc żeby zmienić tą sytuację, żeby było więcej kobiet na scenach, a nie tylko 1 na 9, są różne takie pomysły, co robić, żeby uwrażliwić społeczność na istnienie twórczyń i żeby po prostu ten temat podnieść.
There are a few ideas to sensitize the society into this particular subject of improvised women, to raise this subject in the social structures.
Jest kilka takich pomysłów, czyli na przykład umieszczanie zapomnianych kobiet muzyków w europejskiej tradycji, czyli mówienie o tym, że kiedyś były jakieś kobiety, bo na razie mamy historię muzyki taką, że tam nie ma tych kobiet, więc umieszczamy w historii muzyki nazwiska kompozytorek, które kiedyś tworzyły, ale się o nich nie mówiło. Teraz się o nich mówi, żebyśmy my, kobiety i też całe społeczeństwo, żebyśmy trochę się zaznajomili z tym, że istnieje to środowisko.
Chodzi o literaturę przedmiotu.
Tak, tak.
So we can, one of the ideas is the tendency to place the names of the forgotten women in the history of musicology or the music itself into the literature of the musicology itself, just to raise the awareness of them appearing in the history of music.
Tak, i za tym również umacnianie wartości dzieł, które tworzyły kobiety i to nie tylko takich, które one stworzyły i są za nie odpowiedzialne, ale takich, za które były współodpowiedzialne, czyli na przykład były wspierające w jakichś projektach, za które tak naprawdę odpowiedzialny jest mężczyzna, ale bardzo duża rola przy tworzeniu tego była jakiejś wspólniczki albo twórczyni, która dodała impuls.
It is also about the names of the women who were supporting the main artists, the male artists, who were composers or the creators of the big pieces, but the women who were like mainly impulsed. They were some kind of triggering the whole composition. No.
No i generalnie określanie roli kobiet w świecie przemysłu muzycznego, czyli w świecie biznesu, bo nie żyjemy samymi tylko ideałami, ale też jak tutaj kilka razy było powiedziane, że mamy dzieci i tam ktoś musi się pilnować tych dzieci, czyli musimy na tej sztuce zarabiać, czyli musi istnieć jakiś system, który wspiera kobiety w tym, żeby one istniały na rynku muzycznym.
But it's also about the music business. So the great matter, as it was raised before, about the women caring about the children or having to raise the children. How the women are seen in musical business. How are their perceived? Yes. How they are perceived in the musical business, because of course we all as we sit here, we have to support ourselves, support our own children, and have to maintain the living. So the idea, what's the idea of was
Wspierać się, żeby wspierać ich udział na rynku muzycznym.
So it's about supporting the women in the musical market. I don't know what it is. Musical
Na
market.
przykład parytety, czyli są jakieś takie, właśnie zastanawiam się teraz, czy nie rozgorzeje jakaś dyskusja, bo myślę, że jest tutaj jakaś kontrowersja i konflikt. Czy te parytety są dobre, czy nie? Czyli ustalanie, że ileś tam procent musi być kobiet i jak nie jest, no to po prostu pociskanie.
Chodźcie tu, chodźcie. So it's also about the question of
Sorry, can we just hear what you're talking? We don't understand. Can we just hear first this and then go to the next? Because it's getting very
yeah. So,
at least for me, I don't get.
well, I try to. As far as I understand, the question is: do we have to
Kwota.
to input the jak jest parytet po angielsku? Nie mam pojęcia.
Quote.
Well,
mandatory quotas for like for the election when you have some keep a certain amount of women on the lists.
well,
Quota. Oh, yeah. Okay.
is it okay or not?
Yeah, I know this word really well. I'm a quota child.
But can I just say? It's just by listening of the whole talk, I actually realized that there is something that bothers me, and it is not about the feminism or about the improvisation or about any of this, but it's about these divisions It's these divisions of improvised music, composed music, woman, white, black, men, children, whatever. And this is something that really bothers me because I don't see myself as a limited being doing improvised music as a woman, for example. Not at all. Like, I think we are way beyond that. I think we have to be basing our conversations according to the content and the quality of our work, whatever that is. If it's improvised, composed, if we are a woman or anything else, that should be secondary for me. And that's why I find these talks good, so that we can actually cross over those divisions and say, look, it's all about what we are doing. It's all about the artistic work and the content and the quality of it. And it should be possible that all the other things become secondary.
Yeah, but the question is who is defining this quality? Who is defining this quality? How somehow?
We are defining this
where
quality,
you have,
exactly.
yeah, okay, but
I
when you have a festival which is totally programmed through men, and there are only men composers, and the curator or the director is man, and the history of music was written through men, so they just define this.
It's because they haven't found the women that would give them the same quality. That is. It's not that the quality and the content of the work of certain women, it's not equal to the men or the other way around. The awareness has to be there because the divisions are there. I'm not saying they're not there. They are there. What I'm saying is that for me, it's more important to talk beyond these divisions rather than keep staying with the divisions and talking within them. Because if we start crossing over the divisions and saying, hey, look, actually, you have to be aware about having ratio of 50-50, let's say, ideally, and you have to be aware of the women that are doing equally good and amazing work as the men, and then you have to base your decisions still on the work. But the awareness of these divisions has to be there, of course, and the discussions have to be there because we have the divisions. They have been there, and we're discussing because they're there. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a discussion.
Can I say something? Yeah. So, I'm also. This is such a big topic. There's so many different facets to it. And from the sort of discussion that was going on before, where you guys were all speaking in Polish, and we were just anyway trying to get little bits of what was happening. You also covered a lot of ground. And you didn't get much deeper into it. It's complicated. If there are festivals that are not programming women, they're missing out. Actually, that's the attitude is that, oh wow, you're missing out. Too bad for you. I mean, we can try to do things to change that, but we as women also have to think beyond all the borders and all the limitations that are placed on us, because I don't think even about country borders. If I can't get work in one country, I go to another country. And if I'm not getting work in that country, I will go to another country. And I will keep on trying to get work until I can get work. It's not, there are no borders. I mean, there for some people are very strong borders. In certain countries, you can't travel. If you have a certain kind of passport, you cannot travel. This is terrible. This is another question. But in terms of thinking that you need the support, it's true, you need the support, but we as women have to also empower ourselves to do anything that we need to do to make it work, no matter what anybody tells you. So if they say, you're a woman, you can't do this, well then fuck them, sorry. Yeah, that can be a name for it, you know, but I mean, I'm a mom, I was a single mom, woman of color, single mom. I brought my kid on tour with me. I didn't let the whole situation of people telling, oh, you could never do this. Okay, oh, well, I'll just do it anyway. You know, it's about thinking beyond all these limitations that we put on ourselves. And this is cultural. This is stuff you're born with. This is social. And those things have to be broken down. All these borders have to be broken down. I agree with you. I mean, these divisions. I mean, still, I mean, are there any of the organizers here in the room with this discussion?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Oh yeah, yeah. So that's also a problem. That's also a problem. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. It's like a dark laughter. It's not really funny. I mean, it's probably good that they're here, right? I mean, if there's going to be a change and we're in a space and they program a festival, maybe it's good that they're present for this kind of discussion. These discussions, again, are happening with we're women sitting around talking about it. There's a little contingent of guys over there. This is great, but thank you.
Anyway.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to say something that probably will be difficult. Hello. Thank you that you said about equality and not border and trying to destroy the borders, okay? Because I totally agree with that. Why?
So don't take over the conversation, please.
No, I will not. I will really try.
I saw him taking over the conversation earlier. I noticed you.
Well, but anybody can take over the conversation.
What can I say?
Somebody else will be the next to take over the conversation.
I always say my wife tells the truth, and I don't argue with her. So maybe I should just stop talking. Okay.
Make your point.
Okay. The situation is, I did this book, which is only about music, as I understand it. I just wanted to ask musicians about what is the most interesting to me in music, based on those musicians that I know for a lot of years. And there's one woman here and 29 men. And I just didn't think of it as an issue because I'm just listening to the music like this. Only on the concert, sorry, I don't see you now. And I just did based on listening. Because to me, music is not women's or men's. It's just the music
Yeah, but
that...
how did you find the music you were listening to?
Oh, you know, I'm not the...
I mean, there you are, you see, because the music that is being played, the music that is in concerts, is mostly by men.
Yep.
My voice is loud enough, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay, but there you are. You see, you can't make that point because the fact is that you've listened to more men's music than you have women's music because the women's music was not being played.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't have this problem that maybe in 10 years when I'm gonna do, I don't know, the third book, they're gonna be about 30 women and 0 men. Maybe. It's just...
Well, we hope things change that fast.
Yeah.
Well, because there are a lot of talented people out there who are not getting the chance. Yes. Yeah, no, but a lot of women who are talented people are not being given the chance.
A lot of men who are talented people are also
Listen,
not
I
being
should
given
know
the
what I'm
chance.
talking about. I've been
Yeah.
around a long time and I've been in many countries and I've also been the wife of somebody very often in my life. I'm also the mother of somebody. But you have to keep on and you know, eventually you will get recognized, but it takes a much longer time for a woman.
All right. And?
You're a young man of 30, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And? So
Well-
that now ageism is coming in? So
No,
what-
I
what?
mean, yes, I know, but I mean, yes, you yeah. Yeah. So, and I think the men should not be talking so much.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
Listen.
Okay.
Listen.
No problem, no problem.
May I? Because I want to say something opposite, yeah? Because as a singer, and what we've seen yesterday on the stage, like we've been in 4 women on the stage, and we got like 3 vocalists. So from my point of view, it's totally opposite. Because if you get vocalists improvising or in composed music, there is a lot more competition because there are much more women there. Almost only women, if you see. So there is maybe a talk about the fields and the instruments what you get, because you were the only female instrumentalist there.
Well, I don't see the voice as being any different than any instrument, first of all. So the way that I use my voice is like an instrument. There's no role of the voice being separate from being an instrument. I don't know how it is in Poland with the the division between singers and instrumentalists. I know that there's this kind of thing in classical music and more like standardized music genres, but I find that in the way that I work, the voice is no different.
Yeah, sure, but if you take like this VO orchestra in Warsaw, you have one or two men singing there, like using their vocals as vocals.
Yeah.
And this is also the question, maybe about that, why women are vocalists, basically, you know. I mean, if you take vocalists, there are lots of women and almost none men.
Sorry, but this is getting me quite irritated because you're just advertising your book here. I'm a journalist. I decided to challenge Kuba before the festival, before I knew this panel was even happening, because I noticed that that gender disparity that you see in the lineup. Because we can take this idealistic approach. Oh, we're all equal, and there's like we shouldn't have these gender barriers, and that's what actually Kuba was saying. That I've got his answers written down, and like I'm going to let you talk later on. Saying that we just didn't think of the gender of the artists playing, and there was an open call, but still we've got this disparity. There's 9 men for one woman, even though you said that there's so many talented women playing. And we don't see them here. We don't see them on stage. We see some of you, but still. So what I wanted to ask is, what would you suggest to festival organizers, about people in other fields? Because that's happening. I don't know, in TV commentary. That's the same in government. Well, you have a few women. You've got Theresa May and such, but like there's still. Sorry. No, I'm not saying Theresa May is the best prime minister, but like she is a prime minister. I would say, what would you suggest? What would you suggest to festival organizers, for example, like the festivals, like festivals like this, those who might not be aware of the problem of gender disparity, like those who think that it's only natural that we're speaking about, when we're speaking about music, like we're thinking it's genderless. How do we overcome the problem of, yes, we want this idealistic way of thinking that like we shouldn't have gender barriers, I don't know, color barriers, but still the disparity is happening.
No, I just want to make sure that it's the women are talking here and not the men, because we should be talking out louder and saying what we think. And I think that there is a discrepancy, and I have great experience of this. I've been in a number of performance festivals in the last few months, and people in other countries are trying very much to have equal numbers of women, and also older women and younger women. As their men, and here it doesn't seem to be the case, and maybe we can pass that on, and I don't know how we're going to affect this change. Just make it aware that there are a lot of talented people out there, and you have to be more willing to find them, maybe.
Can I answer the question of the guy? So I'm more and more convinced that we need an institutional solution. So we have to create some objective conditions, and the only way is to make this quota, I don't know, preference. And for example, when some organizer is applying for support for public money, so the officers, so municipal or state officers should have this punct in a conditions, some rational numbers of female, men, this age, that age, I don't know, this race. So for example, in Poland we are so mono-ethnic that we don't have this discussion about I don't know, race discriminations or things like that. So, but I understand that for example, in Berlin or in United States, it's perhaps more visible than in Poland. But I think that is the only way to to objectify the situation, and the only starting point to change, because as we see, most of people are completely unaware of the problem. And try to argument that there are not too many musicians, so there are not enough musicians to program female musicians in festivals. They are not good enough, so the quality argument is also very often appearing. Then some other arguments, but it seems to just testify about the complete unawareness of the problem. And for me, the only solutions would be this institutional, very objective pressure, institutional pressure to change the situation. I don't know if you agree with me, but
I just, to a degree, I agree with you, but I'm actually quite optimistic for some reason. Yeah.
First of all, don't you think you're making sort of a generalization here? Because it's not, you're making like a general approach is everybody is unaware. It's not, nobody has any bad intentions here. It's just, as for us and for me as an organizer of this event, for example, you're saying it's not an explanation that you don't see gender when inviting people in. But I really don't. And can you imagine a position of an organizer who is not even considering us from a civilized point of view, but a biological, life on Earth point of view, that we are all just chemical reactions, basically, and then, like scientifically, it doesn't matter, and we create as a chemical reaction. Actually, we move air, which is music, and we think of it that way, like a romantic, impressionist, expressionist, emotional way, and in that way we just take, we organize stuff, and there is no possible regulation in any what's the word, urząd, in any kind of office to write that down or legislate or whatever.
Yeah, but I think even this very talk about it brings awareness, and even just the idea of having this talk, which you programmed, means that there is an awareness that this is an issue.
Actually,
I mean, why would you have this talk if you don't think that's an issue?
Because I thought that we are going to talk about how many wonderful women we have, and we're going to talk about what they do, and we're going to talk about, we're not going to be like, oh, there's no, we're going to be proud of the women that we have, and we're going to be proud, and we want to show something, and we're going to raise awareness not by complaining, but by being proud of what we have already.
Right, but you don't show it.
We don't show it.
Because they're
you
not
all
here.
Are here.
But we are 7 out of 70.
You are all here. But it's not numbers. The numbers don't count.
It is the number, because
no, numbers don't count. Numbers just count for people.
I, for example,
people
don't
like
know.
Numbers. I don't know if you read Little Prince. People really like numbers. And yesterday I was even thinking about 25 years. What does it mean? It doesn't mean anything. The numbers doesn't mean nothing. It's just something that people created to make life easier for them, and that's it. But generally, it doesn't mean anything. If you just feel, and you're open with emotions, and you're open to things that happen, and to reactions that happen, to sounds that happen, to paintings that happen, or whatever forms of expression that are happening, these rules don't apply, and they don't apply here at all.
Yes, but these are two different things. I agree totally with what you say, 100%. One thing is what you're saying is totally true. The other thing is we come to a festival and there just isn't these wonderful women that you would like to talk about. I don't see them because there is, how many Polish women are at this festival?
Polish women?
2
how many?
How many?
I don't remember.
So 2?
Yeah,
maybe
but
3.
Listen,
I'm just saying,
for example,
can I finish my sentence? Thank you. I just say that agreeing with you is 100% for me. I don't think that what I'm saying is a contradiction of what you're saying. What I'm saying is that when I come And I would like to know all these wonderful women who you want to talk about and who you want to admire. I don't know them. I don't see them. I don't hear them. I don't even know their names. So
I have the same problem. I have the same problem
And
because
so-
we do an open call and we know thousands of people, and all these people come to our club and they are here, and some of them probably, doesn't matter, you know, some of them are probably interesting, creative women,
Yeah.
okay? But why didn't they, you know, what we can do actually
I
to
tell
bring
you
them
what you
out?
can do. You can, I think this is also answering your question of what do I think organizers can do. They can be more informed about it. You can be more informed
Okay.
about which women do what.
So education, sort of.
It's more like research, if you
Yeah.
want.
Okay.
And I think this is an absolute must for somebody that is in a position to make decisions.
That's true, but do you think it should be information? It should be information. We should send information from a gender level, actually. That, yeah, we do the festival, but also ladies, please come in. It's making a division. We are inviting everybody, and just ladies didn't show up as much as guys.
I didn't do an open call. I got invited, so you can just invite whoever you like. Right? I didn't even know there is an open call.
But we, okay.
Some institutions or festivals or academies also use the solution which encourages female students or female artists to take part in some project. They just encourage, so they invest more energy to get them, because yeah, that's perhaps the case of my friend composer from Netherlands. She told me that at the music academy there, I don't know, it's what in Amsterdam or maybe in Brussels, never mind. So she said that the academy introduced the solution that they have to be some number of women in some decision, and they discovered that women are just, for example, too shy to go and to take part in it, and they decided to make some preferences or to encourage them to do this. And that was the impulse for them, and now they have more women in these decision groups, or I don't know what.
Can I say? You want to say something?
Yeah, just quick. Yeah, I just to say, like, just to remind, like, I think, like, I didn't come here to sit at this thing to say, hey, why didn't you, like, get more women? Like, you're a dick. I didn't do that. Like, sorry, it's lucky it's English. Sorry. Well, yeah, true. Thank you. But like, just to say, like,
you're a pussy, you know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, but I just, I think just to remind that we're talking, we're discussing, and I hope, like, to come, like, from this something positive can come out aside from someone being like, I feel really bad now because I didn't do this and that. It's like, cool. Maybe the thing that's changed is that you guys have a possibility for being aware. I mean, you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to have us sit here and say, hey, man, how's it going over there? I do kind of wonder why there's not more women, because I personally know some very talented, incredible, powerful, great female Polish musicians that I work with regularly. Why, like, they're not here?
I'm asking the question as well.
Yeah, but I'm also not saying you're bad. I'm just wondering.
You know, I'm all together with you here asking the question. And, you know, for example, we get a lot of offers every day, tens, hundreds of them. And I don't know, a lot of time agencies, even huge ones, send offers and there is just no women there. So maybe that's a problem as well. But I don't know if agents are, for example, do you think agents are sitting at home and they're like, oh no, let's first do the guys and then maybe we do the ladies? You really think it's like that? No, it cannot be like that. You know?
Can I just say something? I mean, the discussion is kind of, it's diverging in a lot of different directions. Going back to that question which you had, which was great, about what organizers can do. What organizers can do is to do the research, but to acknowledge that they have a responsibility to the public. They have a responsibility to the young women who are out there that feel too shy, And the reason that they're too shy is because they're not seeing enough women on stage doing it. They're not seeing us slaying, you know, they're not seeing us killing it. And then that's the problem, because you need more people on stage. You need to put more people on stage as a responsibility as a curator. Every curator, if you're putting something into a public sphere, has a responsibility to society. This is what culture is, right? It's not, oh, but the ladies aren't calling us. Well, or they're not writing back. It's an open call, so it's their fault. It's their fault that they're not writing. No, don't respond right away. I'm still talking. So the whole thing is that you need to feel a deep responsibility for social change. And that's what you have as a curator, as an organizer. And I think that this is sometimes really missing. People kind of forget about the reason that they're doing it in the first place. I mean, they love the music, it's great, there's all these, I mean, of course, sound is sound and we just do this, but we can't ignore the fact that there are all these differences, and they really are there, because people have a lot of trouble navigating these boundaries that are actually there. We would love, in an ideal world, in a fantasy, to say that there are no boundaries, but they're there, and they're so fucking there, okay? That's it, we can't ignore them. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Not here.
Oh, I've played here a number of times, not in the most recent years. They're here. Every time I've arrived, of course I've felt welcomed, but I feel there's divisions. I've also been the only woman in many different programs that I've played when I've been here. And I feel there is a feeling, and there's a difference. It's not a superficial difference. It's something that's kind of underneath a lot of things. And it's also how the women are. It's not just how the men are. I mean, I have a son, right? He's 18, and I hope to God that I've raised him in a way that he will participate in these kinds of conversations, which he has. He's been on tons of women's marches in the U.S. He has friends who are men and women, and he's an engineer, and his friends are women and men, and that's becoming much more integrated too. But it's not just in the music. We have to educate. It's about the research you do as a curator, but we have to educate our children like this too, from the very ground up. The women are shy, yes, because they don't feel empowered. If a male curator puts out an open call and says, "Hey, everybody, just put yourself forward," and if that's not already in the culture if that's not already encouraged, if girls are just not encouraged to just get out there and do it from the very beginning, how are they going to be able to do this in an artistic or in a cultural way where you put yourself on stage, and when you're improvising, you're naked basically. And you have to really put yourself out there. You have to put your ego out there, and you have to be not afraid. You have to be really unafraid. And this is the thing. I smell a lot of fear in this room. There's all these divisions, but I smell a lot of fear, and I smell fear for men, and I definitely feel fear with the women. And we have to. It's about not just empowering the women, but empowering men to be also not so fragile that they can't just listen and try to do better. Nobody's accusing anybody specifically of, oh, it's your fault, oh, you're not. People shouldn't feel so personally attacked by these things. It's more like a responsibility. This is important. This word is the biggest. I'm going to just leave it at that. It's like we all have a responsibility for moving things forward. And women, men, parents, children have a responsibility too. So.
Thank you very much for this. Co powiedziałaś. I don't know how long we have time here, because in a program there is an exhibition now from 4 o'clock, but we can stay here some time and discuss if you want, but I don't know if you want. Maybe. Anyway, To, co ja wyniosłam z tej dyskusji, to wrażenie, że jest bardzo potrzebna taka dyskusja, że jest bardzo potrzebne rozmawianie o tym i ja jako kobieta bardzo dużo zyskuję przez uczestniczenie w projektach, w których kobiety są jakby przedmiotem czy badań, czy w ogóle czy po prostu uczestniczą. Na przykład festiwal samych kobiet, na którym byłam po raz pierwszy w życiu, był dla mnie ogromnym przeżyciem i też transformującym, więc dlatego uważam, po tym przeżyciu uważam, że takie rzeczy są bardzo potrzebne. Właśnie po to, żeby potem nie było takich dyskusji, bo ta transformacja musi zostać poparta pewnym doświadczeniem, przeżyciem tego.
The thing that this discussion gave me is there's a need for these kinds of discussions, and I have this impression from the Women Only festival that I brought with myself, and it drives me into the need of bringing this up, this particular subject. Because of the experience, because of the transformation of the experience, whatever it means. But yes.
No to ja myślę, że na koniec jeszcze, bo tutaj rzeczywiście Audrey tak pięknie wyraziła to wszystko, co myślę jest i kluczowe, jest istotne w myśleniu o przyszłości muzyki, o przyszłości też takich miejsc, myślę, jak mózg, że te 25 lat jakby minęło i teraz otwiera się jakiś kolejny etap i z tymi wszystkimi po prostu pytaniami i kwestiami wrócimy i będziemy o tym myśleć i będziemy przede wszystkim działać na rzecz poprawy tej sytuacji, zmiany tej sytuacji i jednak poszerzenia naszej świadomości o to, że właśnie tak jest, jak jest i jesteśmy różni i wszyscy chcemy uczestniczyć i mamy do tego prawo w życiu artystycznym, kulturalnym dla obopólnego pożytku. I cóż, i chyba na tym jakby zakończymy naszą rozmowę. Myślę, że ona może być kontynuowana jeszcze w kuluarach. So I just conclude the discussion. So thank you very much for your attendance and wonderful thoughts and very inspiring ideas to this subject, and see you at the concert. Thank you.